You know, I got to make sure that I'm thinking clearly on what I'm seeing. So I got to get your guys' feedback on this. But let's go live first. Um, we're also, after we go through the current events, we're also going to go through market movement. We're going to go through a couple of things that's happening in the markets, and then we'll, like I said, we'll do the challenge. Um, I want to welcome everybody on YouTube. Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Sindel. If you guys got any comments, questions, or concerns, please let me know. I'm gonna keep you guys on my screen. I got everything set up now. Now that I'm not doing LinkedIn or TikTok, I got extra room. So just let me know. Please post anything in the comment section, and I will get to you guys. There may be a little bit of like a little delay, but don't worry about that. But I want to recognize Eric and Sindel. You guys show up every single day. I really appreciate it. Once again, you invest in yourself, I'm going to invest in you. So I'm here if you guys have any comments or questions. So let me go ahead and pull up this. Go ahead and close out you Bloomberg. Let me go ahead and pull up my live. There we go. So yeah, so I got you guys on my screen. Just let me know what you guys need. All right, so somebody please tell me if I'm wrong. Once again, it's one of those your mouth drops open. I'm getting a lot of this in the first in all throughout January. My mouth kept dropping open. Every current event that's popping up. Huh? What? So Trump announced yesterday that the U.S. is gonna turn God to the Riviera of the Middle East. Did anybody see this?
Yep.
My mouth dropped also. I was wide open also on that news.
What?
Yeah.
And he basically said, "Oh, they shouldn't go back there because it's just going to continue to happen. So we're going to help them out and we're going to move them out." And then he says, and because a lot of people don't catch the little nuances. After he says that the people in Gaza should be removed and they shouldn't go back because the same thing's going to happen, out of the same breath, he says, "Oh, we're going to build up we're going to make it magnificent. We're going to build up the area, and we're going to create jobs for the people in the region." Well, wait a minute. You just said that you're removing the people from the region. So whose jobs are you creating? And where are you trying to relocate to South America?
Uh, well, he said he's gonna, I guess, try to get Jordan and Egypt involved. And did you see Benjamin Netanyahu's face on the side?
Yes, I did. Oh,
You
yes,
know
I did.
what to do. It's like,
And that's why I posted in the WhatsApp room. Was this the plan all along? Because we always thought that Israel was going to come in and take over. But if you think about it, they're already getting it from United Nations. They're already getting it from NATO. So if they bombed that place and then took it over, it would seem very suspect. But to bring in the U.S., that's going to turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East. Oh my goodness, man.
I think I think
No.
Trump got Netanyahu right where he wants him because if you remember, that guy is right now. He's got like a he's not sitting so well with the world's courts of law, so to speak. I think they out for his head. So uh, Trump taking over and showing that he's running things over there, like as if he's somewhere in New York and taking over one of his construction teams, talking to some type of union. That's what Netanyahu looked like. He looked like a union guy. He looked like somebody who got put in this place, and he was taken back, like, because when he comes there with his chest sticking out, like, I'm about to run things, tell y'all, what's going down. And he looked like he was like, you sit back, we got this, and we'll play around, do what you doing, but we'll do a better job at it. That that really looks like, because the only way out for that guy is somebody to take him and protect him. And man, he's got Trump, and yeah,
Well,
it's going to be a
well,
circus.
I'm going to give you my little perspective on this. And like I said, I welcome your thoughts. But remember what I said yesterday, that there is the Heritage Foundation that's kind of funding this entire Project 2025. So I'm going to give you a video that I saw on TikTok last night. I guess after that whole press conference, they went into one of the little, I guess, dining rooms or conference rooms in the White House, and they caught a video of Trump pulling Netanyahu's chair out. And I think I saw it on Instagram because I was uploading on Instagram. And the caption on it was, Trump pulls out the chair of the president. So I give that visual because we know that there are powers that be that are a part of the Heritage Foundation. And I told you guys that Jewish people pick and choose when they want to be white and when they want to be a culture and a race. They will code switch quick.
There are
So you
some
have
that
to consider. No, go ahead.
there are there's some that claim to be of Judah but are not, but of a synagogue of Satan. There, there's a mix. So yes, you're going to get that
Well,
too.
let me give you the mix because it's really not a mix. We're talking about the upper echelon, the millionaires and billionaires. That's not a mix. Because the lower people, and I'll give you an example, because when Palestine was being bombed over the last 2 years, do you want to know the number one supporter of Palestine? Hasidic Jews. If you go to New York, they were protesting in the streets. Hasidic Jews, the ones with the curls, the hats on with the curls come down. The Hasidic Jews recognized. So that is the religion. That is the ethnicity. Those are the real quote unquote Jews. But you got this level of the upper echelon that want to pick and choose. They're not they're part-time on it. Those Hasidic Jews, every single day, they're Hasidic Jews. They don't pick and choose. They don't walk around and turn into a white person. Now, I already gave you the background, the history, because that they are white. We went over that. Ever since 70 CE, they decimated Jewish culture. They dispersed across the globe. So there is no original Jewish people. Because if they were, they would look like Palestinians. But after 70 CE, when Rome decimated Jerusalem, they scattered to the winds. And that's why you have Jewish people in South America all the way up to Russia. You got Jewish people in Asia. You got Jewish people in all the way down to the bottom of Africa. Jewish people dispersed everywhere when Jerusalem got destroyed in 70 CE by General Titus. So I already told you that the original Jews, despite people saying that the black people are the original Jews, that's not true. The original Jews does not exist anymore. If they did, they would look like the Palestinians. And that's the argument of the Palestinians, that we're the only remaining remnant of Abraham, which is true. Because I'm going to give you that history lesson. There were two brothers, Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael was the older brother. All right. Abraham did not follow, quote unquote, God's instructions, and he took
Hey, guy.
Hagar. He took Hagar as his kind of mistress, and they had a son called Ishmael. Now you got to understand how the Bible works. If God says something, it has to come true. And God gave Abraham a promise that I'm gonna make your seed flourish. So when he had Ishmael, he had an obligation to fulfill his promise with Ishmael, even though that was not his original intent. So do you know what he did? You can look in the Bible. He gave Ishmael 12 tribes, just like Isaac. I'm sorry, just like Joshua.
Yep.
Ishmael got 12 tribes of 12 sons who became 12 tribes. Do you want to know who those 12 tribes of Ishmael is? The Palestinians.
Yep.
So they're not wrong when they say we're the original bloodline of Abraham. They're not. They're just not the. They're not the prophesied.
Yep.
They're not the one that leads to Jesus. And that remnant, after Jesus was born, that remnant was killed, or not killed off, but wiped out. Well, by General Titus at Jerusalem, he destroyed. Now, here's the other thing that I usually don't get into. Yeah, but let me give you the reason why that it's always like ambiguous. Like, who's the real Jew? Let me tell you why. Because Jews were meticulous at their record keeping. They were able to trace lineage back to Noah. They were able to trace their lineage back to Noah and Shem or Japheth and all of that. So literally, Abraham came from Shem came from Noah. They were able to trace their lineage back to then. And you can look in the Bible and see the lineage of Mary and Joseph goes back to Adam. They were meticulous in their lineage. What bloodline did you come from? When they destroyed Jerusalem, they destroyed the records. There is no more lineage. Just like the Library of Alexander, the second largest library was Jerusalem. We've all heard about the Library of Alexandria. It was the largest in the world at that time. The second largest library that existed was Jerusalem. And the number one thing that they had in that library was records of lineage. And think about that, the millions and millions and millions of Jews and Israelites that were birthed all the way back to Noah and Shem and Abraham. They had it all recorded. And all of that got destroyed when they destroyed Jerusalem. So that's the reason why nobody can say, well, what tribe am I? Doesn't exist anymore. Is this making sense?
Makes sense.
So they all got scattered to the wind. The original Jews are no longer, that bloodline is gone, because the only bloodline that mattered was the one that led to Jesus. After that, it didn't matter. They weren't even approved. No, if you go by the Bible's narrative, they weren't even approved by God, which is why he destroyed Jerusalem. And the most ironic part is we come full circle. My mouth dropped open 2 weeks ago. I'm in the shower, and it hit me like an epiphany. I said, wait a minute. You got Israel coming full circle and persecuting. Wait a minute. Is this a real thing? Because they're no longer God's approved people if you go by the Bible's narrative. So they're coming full circle at the end of the last days, and they're now persecuting everybody. We see what they're doing with they're acting like the Nazis. It's crazy. So I'm digressing on that, but I at least want to kind of reiterate the history lesson that there are some people that just accept that they are Hasidic Jews or they're real culture, even though their bloodline may not be 100%, they still accept, hey, this is my culture, this is my ethnicity, this is my nationality, this is my race, however you want to define it. But you got this upper echelon that want to pick and choose. Today I'm going to be white because it benefits me to be white. But as soon as you do something to me culturally, ethically, racially, religiously, I'm now going to code switch, and now I'm a Jew. So I'm just giving you guys the heads up that a lot of the people in that Heritage Foundation are the people with the money, and I did explain that yesterday, that they're funding the Project 2025. So all of these decisions are being made, and we see that a lot of decisions are kind of on that level of the Yahtzee Nazi. And we see that, and I mentioned this also, we see that the actions of Israelite is Yahtzee Nazi. So it all fits in line. So, like I said, coming back to that image, Netanyahu might be the real person in charge. Because I already told you that somebody's pulling Trump's strings. Because I'm gonna give another quote where when he was going at the very tail end of his campaign, he was going on the news because this man loves to brag. He was going on the news and saying, "Oh, I don't need your vote." Does anybody remember this? He was bragging, "Oh, I don't need your vote." I picked up on it.
Yeah,
like he knew he was going to win.
Yeah, he's like, this will be the last time you have to vote. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's the last time you got to vote. Don't worry about it. That man already had it locked in. Because I keep telling you guys, your actual vote doesn't matter. The electoral votes is a person that decides the president. And Trump already knew he had all the electoral votes. Because the Heritage Foundation, as I explained yesterday, they're the ones that with the super PACs, and they go out and pay off all of the congressmen and the judges.
And
so they already knew what the electoral vote was going to be. Go ahead.
I did confirm that the Koch brothers are a huge contributor as well, and the Davis family. Not my Davis family.
But even bringing in the major investors in these hedge funds that control everything. They control our food, they control our medical, they control our drugs. There's an upper echelon of people, we know this, that are inside of the major hedge funds and investment firms. They're the same ones in the Heritage Foundation.
They can control our beer. Coors is part of it.
Everything. So, like I said, that is the real thing, and do not think that Netanyahu or any of his oligarchies are not a part of that. So, like I said, you can kind of see now that once he made that statement, I connected a bunch of dots. Because here's something else. I want to bring in one more piece. Do you know? And I mentioned this when Elon Musk made the symbol. We kind of talked about this in the Zoom. That 7 out of 8, and I don't know the real number, but I know it's somewhere around like 9 out of 10. I think that's really what it is. 9 out of 10 of the oligarchs in Russia are Jewish. 70%. That's what it was. 70% of the oligarchs in Russia are Jewish. 9 out of 10. So now think about this. And notice that when Trump got into office, what did Putin say? I'm ready to truce. All Trump has to let me know is that he want to talk. And we'll talk about a truce. You guys see the pieces connecting?
Keep cooking.
I'm telling you, when he made that statement yesterday, I put all the pieces together. I'm like, this is what it is. And that's why I'm throwing it off of you guys, and I'm doing this live too. So I didn't if I decide to post this on YouTube or even my live on YouTube, I don't know if they're gonna flag it, nor do I care. But I want to be completely honest. I can back it up. You see, I'm giving you history lesson. I'm giving you instances of current events. But if you put the pieces together, this is not conspiracy theory. This is literally what's happening.
The challenge
This
with that, the challenge that I see with it is that he's been having the globalist and nationalist issue since his first term, and that issue has been permeating in all of APAC, including American Heritage. Yeah, they have the Jews and the the whites, if you will, um, battling out as far as the elites are concerned, but they're so commingled with their ideals of nationalists and globalists that maybe he was pulling that chair out to just unload on them. Say, hey man, we all made a decision, and you need to sit down for this.
and that's what I think. Like I said, I caught very early on that Trump is not in control. And I'll tell
Nope.
you I'll tell you the equivalent. I think he accidentally tripped, and I even explained this. He accidentally tripped into the first presidency. He was never trying to run. He was just trying to get because he had a very bad reputation with the um the Apprentice, and then he went through that scandal where somebody recorded him saying all those horrible things. He got convicted of sexual assault. He just had a bad reputation overall. So he went on a tour, and then he had that roast. And then after the roast, somebody in the audience mentioned about him running for president. He was like, "Oh yeah, we'll see." But when they
Obama.
showed him the numbers, after that roast, they showed him the numbers. And they're like, yeah, you can actually win. And once again, his ego, he tripped into that. But originally, it was just a marketing tour of him trying to get, his reputation back. So he tripped into the presidency on the first one. So I think that when he went through that whole thing where he's now being charged, multiple, financial, criminal, all these different things, he had to sell his soul to get back in on the second one. He had to make some deals. So I don't think he's the one in charge, but like I said, I'll let you guys kind of give me your thoughts on him. But here's the whole thing, guys. The only reason why we talk about Trump is because doing these kind of things is going to rattle the markets. I don't mind taking 5 or 10 minutes to kind of go over it. But I can always show you that it's not political, it's not religious, it's not racial, because we're going to bring it back home. We're going to lock it into the foundation of what this whole discussion is about. It's going to rock the markets, and not just our markets, global. That Gaza statement was a global statement. Geopolitics, and we all know that geopolitics is not politics. Geopolitics is a taking every single thing that happens in the global markets, and you're looking at relationships. Because you can be political without being in politics. And let me explain what that means. You can follow geopolitics and never reference the government at all. Because the majority of geopolitics is corporations and financial institutions and the relationships that they have. And even when you do get into the government, it's the main part is the trade agreements. So you can even just follow the trade agreements, and you're still not getting into the politics of what the laws are, or what people are voting on, or what people are protesting about. You don't have to get into that. All you gotta do is follow the trade agreements between governments, follow the financial institutions and how the money's moving, and then trace that to the supply chains of all the corporations. That's what real geopolitics is. So you can go through geopolitics, analyze geopolitics, and never touch politics. And I'll reiterate to you again. We don't follow what might happen. Like, everyone is trying to factor in the tariffs. They're trying to factor in the new executive orders. Because keep in mind, just because at this point we know this for a fact, just because Trump signs an executive order doesn't mean it's going to happen. Most of them have not. They have fought almost every single executive order that he signed because most of them are unconstitutional or go against the law. We as real market analysts, we only want to know what's currently in place. Not what's being talked about, not what's being speculated, not what's being debated and protested. What is the current law and policy? And how is that going to affect the supply chain and the stock market? That should be the limit of what we do. Let everybody else speculate because it's noise and echo.
Yep.
And we look for signal. Go ahead. I heard somebody with a comment. Anybody? All right, no problem. So that's how we bring this back home. We can go through all of this, we can give a little bit of our perspective on what we might see things as and what I can see things going, but none of that. There's a limit to how far we go with that because none of it matters. Not with what we're trying to do. We only look at current laws, current policies, and how they apply to the supply chain, to value, to asset value, and all of that. But we can at least try to figure out what direction this might go. How is the sentiment? Because that's what this really is. It's sentiment analysis. How is this going to affect the sentiment, the emotion, the reactions in the markets? And if you look at the news, that's what everybody's doing is reacting. They're reacting to things that'll never happen. Because we even saw with the tariffs. Oh, I'm going to do 25%, 25%, and 10% in this. And what happened? Never happened. So just because Trump talks about it doesn't mean it's going to happen. 90% of what he has put in out there has not gone anywhere. It's been challenged every single time. So I just want to kind of reiterate that. But we can see how it's developing. Is it going to turn into a law? Is it going to turn into a policy that we need to hone in on and apply? But for now, none of this matters. We're just trying to get a sentiment and a direction of what the markets are going to do. All right, so let's go ahead and segue from that into the current events. Let's see how this this entire discussion is affecting the markets. So first, I kind of want to go over the calendar. Let me go ahead and bring this up because Google and AMD and I think Disney released their earnings, and we were focused more so on Google because we only focus on the Mag 7. But Disney actually showed up, and I'm going to bring that in a minute. But first, let's look at Google, and I want to bring up the news. And then I'm going to show you the market movement. But let me share. So here's where we are. I told you to watch Google's quarterly earnings last night around between 5 and 6 o'clock. They released their earnings, and then we watch it after market to see how the markets react. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But basically, you can see that the markets tumbled. That's what they're telling us. But I'm going to show you something different when we look at the price action. But yeah, Google's numbers were not good. AMD's numbers were not good. There were a couple of more. Let me kind of go into some of these articles, and I can show it to you. They did not meet their expectation. AMD tumbles, Alphabet tumbles. They were short their estimations, and initially it turned the markets bearish.
Hey, Coach.
Go ahead.
For Google, was there a previous estimation that's different than what shows up in the platforms? Because I'm looking at an estimate of 2.125, and they actually turned in a 2.15, which is a beat. And it's
Well, I
But
had
but
an
there may
article.
be but there may be yeah, I think so there may be more behind it of, previously they were expecting it to be better or they expected it to be bad and it just wasn't as bad and it
and
shows
and
up as
and and
good.
and I had this conversation last week with one of the economic events. Lisa had a question because she had basically the same thing. Well, wait a minute, the numbers were this. Why are they reacting this way? Because that, and it's exactly what you just said. Sometimes, it may not give exactly what was expected, but how bad was the expectation? How far off
Right.
was it? So that's most likely what it was, but it was not on. It was short, very small, but like you say, it may not have been exactly because, and I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
Because
I mean it's down
all of,
$14.
yeah, exactly. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the anchor, like what was everybody else looking at. All of the other Mag sevens were positive, and believe me, we can kind of echo what I said the beginning of last year that Google is the worst out of all the Mag seven. Their
Mm.
their market value and their market cap may not reflect it. But I keep telling you, the biggest disappointment in the Mac 7 is Google because they had a head start. They should literally be at the front of the pack. They had a 10-year head start. They gatekeeped the internet for 10 years. They had a monopoly on the internet for 10 years. So when we analyzed the Mag 7, around this time, February of last year, they were the biggest disappointment because we analyzed every single one of the Mag 7. So I already knew, that they're not the focus of watching the Mag 7 move forward. They're never going to be top tier because they're always playing catch up, which is just sad. So it's not surprising to me to see that their numbers are low. So, but if you compare them to the rest of the Mag 7, they're one of the ones that didn't meet estimates. Everybody else did. And I think everybody was expecting them to actually at least meet the estimates. So initially it did drop the markets. So let me show you that. Let me show you the price action because I looked it up and they say Disney had a very good Q report, and that's what's been driving the markets. Disney saved the markets. So we're gonna go back to yesterday. This is the fifth. We're gonna go back to the fourth, or at least after market. So that would be somewhere around 18. So look at the drop. After market, this is the close, right? This is a 4:12. This is 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock had a huge dip. Then it kind of consolidated to the close. And then we see another dip here at 8 o'clock in the 8 o'clock in the evening. That's when it started coming down. And it did a huge drop from 8 o'clock last night. Does everybody see it? From 8 o'clock last night, huge. I'm talking huge. Let's see how big it was. So this is about, let me move my, this is at about 44,800, 44,9, no, I'm sorry, 44,7, right? A little bit under 44,7. And it dropped all the way down to 44,5. So 200 points. From 8 o'clock last night to about 1 o'clock in the morning. Let me get my time right. Yeah, about 1 o'clock in the morning, the markets dropped 200 points. And then that's when the European market started. And the reason why you notice the difference, it started coming back up because Disney had very good earnings. And I'm pretty sure it's not just Disney, but that's what's building the markets right now. Disney had really good earnings. And I'm pretty sure there's some more market leaders that came through. All right, but that's where we are in the markets. Myself, I only follow the Mag 7. I don't really trade unless the Mag 7 are positive. I'm gonna and that's just my analysis of market leaders. I only want to trade leading indicators. And the leading indicators are the Mag 7. And wherever they're going is the direction I'm going. I'm not going to rely on other market leaders, Cisco, Disney, all of these other they're market leaders. They're the leaders of their industry and sector, but I watch the Mag 7. And wherever the Mag 7 goes, that's where I go. I get better accuracy and more consistent wins by following the Mag 7. But it's up to you guys if you want to, if you see the markets going up. I don't really, well, even right now, you kind of see the markets coming back down around 7 o'clock. We see the markets coming back down. So even when you see this huge rally, that does not mean it's going to apply to current markets. So for me, now I also want to reiterate something that I'm still watching. Do you guys see consistently, guys, overnight around 5 o'clock? We saw it at around 2 o'clock. You see this huge rise around 245. So we got this 245 from 44.5 to 44.8, nearly 44.6. So about 150 points here, and then again at 5 o'clock. So I'm really looking at the overnight markets. I'm almost convinced that it's better to trade overnight than to trade the regular markets. And I've already given you guys the proof, because you don't see the straight down dips. You don't see the level of market manipulation that you see in regular price action after 9:30. So I'm almost convinced that it is safer and better to trade in the middle of the night. That 2 o'clock or around 2:30ish, you'll get a really decent rally, and then again somewhere around and it varies anywhere between 4 and 6. You'll get another rally. So you get two opportunities in trading the European markets, usually around 2 o'clock, 2:30 when the markets open, and then again around 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, anywhere between 4 and 6. It's up to you guys. You may want to simulate it if you are up at night. If you guys have different work schedule where you are your third shift, you may want to try to trade. If you're up at night and you're bored, simulate and see it, and let me know your experience by trading the overnight markets. I'm doing the same thing, and I'll keep you guys updated on my end as well. But you definitely don't see these straight up and downs. Like let me show you. Like right now, you see we got around 7 o'clock. What do you start seeing? Straight up, straight downs. You don't see that in over here.
I was about to mention that it looked ridiculous. I mean, it was a ton of manipulation going on. It's incredible.
Now
A lot of
let me
jagged
show it to you. Like right here. Because what I look for are peaks, right? And I tell you, you don't want to see the peak come down and test the previous peak. Do you see what I mean? That's what I mean about consistent price action. Like you'll see the markets drop, but it's not a lot of them. And because the markets are dropping to set up the next rally, so that still exists, but you don't see it as much. And you definitely see the peak over peak, which is what I look for. But you don't always see that when you come into manipulated markets. See what I mean? How it comes down and it tests previous peaks. So I'm just showing you guys the contrast. So I've almost made up my mind. I'm gonna let all these markets calm down. I'm gonna get on the other side of all of this, whatever you want to call this, and I think I'm gonna start testing out that 2:30 and 4:30 and see how that works. I will let you guys know my results, and I encourage you guys to test it out as well. All right, so I show you the price action. That. No, go ahead. Any comments?
Question for you. Yeah. So who is that 245, 230? Is that UK at
Yeah,
that time?
UK
Okay.
markets are opening.
Okay.
When it's European, it's all the European markets. So Germany, France, and all of them. And you guys have the if you have the updated course, if you have the crossbow and the sniper AI, I added that schedule in there. So all you gotta do is kind of compare, the price action here to that schedule. And if you have any questions about that, just let me know. I can fill in the blanks. I can even add to that schedule if you guys see something specific that doesn't really match up in that I call it the train schedule. I will update the train schedule, because keep in mind that train schedule, I made that over 10 years ago. So it does not reflect the current markets. So I'm willing to update that train schedule if you guys see anything specific that doesn't match. All right. So let me see if there's any more current events. Yeah, Chipotle was another one that didn't meet, which is not surprising. I'm just going through the current events, guys. Give me a second. I don't want to miss anything important. Oh, China answered back with 25% tariffs. So the trade war is still going on with China. U.S. put a 10% tariff on China. China answered back with 25% tariffs. And keep in mind, China still gives us a lot of our products. A lot of our products. I think the majority of our products come from China. So there's a 25% tariff on that was an answer to U.S. tariffs. So I want to give you that part. What else do we have?
China did something else with Google and NVIDIA as well.
If you let me know, what was it? What was it?
They were opening up. I forgot. I got to send the article.
Yeah, put it in the student room when if you can find it after this. Thank you so much. So the next thing is, now keep in mind also, most of our everyday products are assembled, in China. So made in China, made in China, made in China. But our tech, most of our tech comes from Korea and the surrounding area, Southeast Asia. So there was some kind of a deal that went sour in the Asian markets. LG is like the number one tech company in Asia. There and I guess the best way to explain it, the LG family, the family behind LG is like the oligarchy of Korea. There's a whole hierarchy, guys. If you know anything about Korean culture, there's the upper echelon of these the kids of the, I'm calling them oligarchs, but that they don't call them that. But there's an entire society of children. These spoiled kids. They get the best education, they get the best jobs. They have a lavish lifestyle. There really is this whole kind of hierarchy in Korea, and most of those are coming out of LG, and any Samsung, all of those major Korean companies. There's a whole kind of upper echelon type of society, and the lower people who are not a part of it, they are striving to get to that upper echelon, either elbowing with them or kind of getting in where they can make the right connections. So like I said, there are documentaries on this, and if you watch a lot of Korean television, the K-dramas, they kind of mention some of this stuff. And I've been watching Korean TV before it was popular. Before Netflix, I was watching Korean TV. I've been watching Korean TV for close to 20 years, before there was Netflix. So that's the reason why I know how that works. But you can monitor, the reason why I bring that up is you can monitor that upper echelon. You can monitor those oligarchs, quote unquote oligarchs of Korea. And you can see some of the deals that are being made, some of the partnerships. A lot of those partnerships are with China. A lot of those partnerships are with America. And when I say that, I'm talking about the companies, the governments and the companies. So you can follow that geopolitics and lead it back to different supply chains. All right. Let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing. We're gonna go ahead and do the challenge next. But I wanted to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Morgan Stanley says that you should expect weak stock market for the next 3 months. And I'm kind of agreeing with them. Now, the reason why I'm agreeing with this statement for 2 reasons. Number one, we're still waiting to see when the interest rate announcement is coming. We're also waiting to see, because everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen with the trade agreements or the trade wars. That's still up in the air. So you got interest rates that are up in the air. You have the trade wars up in the air. You have the whole DeepSeek and all of the AI wars up in the air. And you have the correction. We haven't gotten a correction in close to a year and a half. So we still got that correction looming of when the market is going to drop over 10%. So there's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for when you don't know what's going to happen? Unsureness. I'm having a brain fart. But there's a lot of things, huh?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Thank you. I wish I could just wipe my brain out and rebuild everything. Uncertainty. That's the word I'm looking for. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets that I agree with this. Now, let's qualify it. There are going to be moments where really good news is going to come out. And we'll get those little spurts of bullish rallies and bullish cycles. But I think right now we're really dealing with more, and it's not a bear cycle. I still believe we're in a bull market, but there are so many uncertain things that people are just not sure about committing to their investment, committing to their portfolio, committing to their trading plan, their investment plan. So people are still kind of just loosely, and even the institutions are loosely looking for a sign of commitment. So until we get that, even though the metrics are all giving us bull signals, it's not consistent enough for people to commit. So until some of these things are answered and get off the plate, we're going to have a very unsure market, very uncertain market. And then once and I even told you guys, when is this going to settle down? It's going to settle down after the Q4 reports. So after January and then all of February, once we get over all of the Q4 reports, that's when the markets are going to settle down. And then now people are no longer focused on 2024. So after all the Q4 reports are over, then everybody will transition their focus to 2025, and then they'll start making future decisions. All right. But once again, we're waiting for the markets to kind of settle down and give us a level of focus on where 2025 is going to lead us. So just be cautious in the markets. Look for those instances where there are good news, there are good reports, there are good metrics. Find your rhythm and range and find the best time to enter into the markets. You always can come to the student room and ask more questions. All right. Good morning, Sylvester. I just saw that you showed up, my friend. So now let's go over our daily challenge. Give me a second. Let me share that. Can everybody see this?
Yes, I can see it.
Awesome. All right, so give me a second. Let me blow this up. Today's challenge, or I guess today's assignment, we're still on trading psychology. So we got to recap yesterday. This is a 2-day assignment, yesterday and today. We're dealing with trading psychology on both days. Now, yesterday, our focus and our assignment was to take inventory of our strengths and weaknesses. And then the goal was to, list all of our strengths, apply those strengths to the markets, apply it to our trade craft, apply it to our routine, apply it to our circle of competence, right? And then I also told you to kind of find your weaknesses, your triggers, find a way to either decrease, minimize, or eliminate your triggers, or turn your weaknesses into strengths. And then we'll get more into that in detail in the masterclass room. But today is the second part, where our goal today is to take inventory. Let me show it to you. Today we're taking inventory of our mental and emotional reactions. All right, we're now dealing more on the emotional side, not just the psychology side. Right, you got your mental prowess, and that's kind of what we were going over yesterday. All right, today we're going over your reactions. So today is more emotional. So we want to take emotional inventory, not just strengths and weaknesses of traits. We're focused more so on the emotion. So first, let's start with our billionaire quote. All right, we're going to stay with Brett Steenbarger. We're going to reiterate what he said yesterday. It is when we push the boundaries of the familiar and the comfortable that we discover aspects of ourselves that reshape who we are at our best. So once again, we're going to apply this to our emotional makeup, and we're going to figure out how we can find our best. All right, so today's assignment is to take mental and emotional inventory of your reactive states. You don't want to be reactive. You want to take the lead, and you want the markets to react to you, not the other way around. So here's the assignment. Go back over your life. Go back over your trading history. I don't know if you traded before. And I want you to find interactions between you and the markets, between you and people that you know, your family, your coworkers. Find interactions in your life. And you can go back as far as you want, even if you want to go back all the way to childhood. Find those situations. Find those instances of you reacting in a way that you didn't really appreciate. All right? But what we're looking for is situations where you can consistently react to a certain scenario. All right? You want to go back and say, well, man, I always do this when this happens. Those are the situations you're looking for. Man, every time this happens, I seem to react this way. All right, so I want you to make a list of all of those reactive situations. And the reaction can be physical, the reaction can be emotional, the reaction can be mental, either way. And then what we're going to do is sit down and contemplate in that scenario, in that sequence, what was the trigger that caused that response? Let me say it for you again. Make a list of consistent reactions that you have. You might get emotional. You might get sad. You might get depressed. You might get angry. You might get irritated. You might get happy. Go back and find those consistent situations that might make you frustrated, that might give you joy. Make a list of them and then pick out the trigger. What was my environment? Who was the person that I was around? What was the situation? What was I going through? Really take inventory of your emotional states, your reactive states. That's the assignment. Now, the first step is to develop a consistent trading routine. We're going to bring it home to the trading. Because if you react that way in your life, especially consistently over your life, then guess what? You're going to react that same way in the markets. So we're going to develop a consistent trading routine by focusing on our triggers. Once again, we're going to take a quote from Brett Steenbarger. He says, successful traders develop routines for keeping themselves in ideal states for making trading decisions. Let me read it for you again. Successful traders, because that's what we want to be. Successful traders develop routines. And by having those routines, they keep themselves in ideal states for making trading decisions. Notice that when you're a successful trader and you're following this consistent routine, you're minimizing your triggers. You're keeping yourself in an ideal state. You're eliminating the reactive state. You're in control. And that is one of the number one things that we talk about and that we teach you in our curriculum. Step 2, you want to train your brain to respond rather than react. And I know you probably say, well, that's the same thing, Aaron. When you respond and when you react, it's the same thing. Let me show you the difference. You want to train your brain and your body to respond rather than react. Notice on how you react physically to a trigger. Consciously resist the urge to react. Let me say it for you again. There's a difference between responding and reacting. And the number one difference is when you react, you're not in control. It's second nature. You jump when you didn't mean to jump. But when you respond, you're in control. You're tempered. You see what happened. You get a couple of seconds to kind of think about how you want to respond, and then you do it consciously and in control. But when you react, it's instantaneous. Now you see the difference. So instead, this is how you're going to be able to control it. Pause and allow time for your rational brain to catch up to the situation at hand. And this is what we're talking about, the trading routine. That if you consistently recognize the triggers, that's why you're taking inventory. Because the next time you get into that situation, the next time you have that reactive mindset, that reactive state, you can catch yourself and say, you know what? Hold on. Here's how I always respond. I don't want to do that anymore. Let me take a couple seconds. Remember what we talked about yesterday? Take that deep breath. This is directly tied into yesterday's lesson and assignment as well. Take that deep breath. Give yourself a couple of seconds. Pause. Recognize the situation. Recognize the reactive state. And now take a couple of seconds with those deep breaths and figure out, how do I want to respond? And I promise you, the way the brain works, if you keep doing this as a routine, you will slowly transition from reactive to responsive. That's how you train your brain. Here's a secret to reactive states. The brain does not know the difference between imagination and memory. So visualize yourself in your trading routine, remaining calm and non-reactive, and your brain will prepare to give the same response in real life. So let me apply this application. If you are going through the trading routine, right? Sometimes because this is the second part of yesterday's assignment, meditation. You got to sit down and visualize yourself going through your routine. It's not about always going through it physically. Sometimes you want to sit down and meditate and visualize yourself going through the routine. And then you can visualize that normally when this happens, I usually react this way. But I'm now in control because I'm just visualizing it. And as you visualize it, when you get to that point where you messed up last time, now you can say, well, no, I'm going to change the narrative. I'm going to change my reactive state. Here's how I would like to respond next time. And if you keep visualizing that new routine, that new responsive state, when you get into the situation again, your brain is going to remember what you did in imagination. and it's going to remember it as a memory. It's going to think that you actually did that last time. That's the application. So take what we learned yesterday with the deep breaths and the meditation and apply that to changing your reactive states. The other thing that you can do is simulate. Simulation is the key to practicing your trading sequence until you can control your responses. So if you're visualizing first, then you get into simulation and put it into physical practice. And then now when you transition into the real markets, you're ready because you've trained your emotions, you train your psychology, you train your mentality to give you the response that you want and not the reaction. All right. I want to encourage everybody again, guys. This is a 30-day challenge. I want to see everybody go through this. The reason why it's a 30-day challenge is it's to motivate you to keep doing something every single day. There is no putting it off. There is no procrastination. Follow every single task, every single assignment, every single day for the 30-day challenge. And I promise you, you will not regret yourself after 30 days. We also want to encourage you to keep going after the 30 days. Join the 90-day masterclass. And once again, if you keep doing this every single day over 90 days, you're going to go over our entire curriculum. And all of my current students can attest to this. You will not recognize yourself after 90 days. You will be a completely different trader. And also, you'll be a completely different person. Do we have any questions or comments on this? I love the fact that everything is broken down in smaller sequences. You notice how everything is tied into each other. I love this new format, guys. Try to stay on pace. Now, here's another piece of advice. There are some things like today, right? Yesterday and today, I broke it into 2 different days, right? Because I want you to take the time to visualize. I want you to take the time, maybe simulate, whatever you got to do. I want you to have that time to really focus on, taking inventory of your strengths and weaknesses. If I was to put that all together in one day, it would be too much. So I purposely separated everything. So now you got one day where you can take inventory on your strengths and weaknesses, your traits, and now you got a whole nother day where you can now take inventory on your emotional states. But you notice they're tied into each other. So this is just an example that you're going to find these times where I break things up in multiple days, but you might be able to do it all in one day. And that's going to free up times in the future when you can use those days to your advantage. So if you find those times where you can kind of put everything together, it'll be better in the future where you have extra days that you can use. All right, but keep following the schedule. Stay up to date on the curriculum and the assignments. All of my subscribers come to the master classroom. And like I said, guys, the first 30 days is still open to everybody. So even if you're a student, even if a non-student, like on YouTube, contact me if you want to be a part of our classroom to get the course. Contact me if you want to be a subscriber to get the masterclass early. Now, as I said, you can still do the masterclass. It is not exclusive to subscribers. If you want to join and say, I love this 90-day masterclass, Aaron, I want to be a part of it. Student or non-student, I got a price ready for you. Just reach out to me if you want to do the 90-day masterclass. And we got another 3 weeks. So you got, and keep in mind, even if you don't do it initially, I would rather you start the masterclass, as we're doing it the first time. But even if you don't, you can join this whenever you want. That's what it was designed for. So at any point, if anybody wants to join the masterclass, let me know. I got a special price for you if you're a student or a non-student. All right. So everything is going to incorporate the course material. I'm going to incorporate all my webinars, all my workshops, and all of my one-on-ones. You're not going to miss anything. The price is $1,200, but do not go by that. Eric, reach out to me. I think I have you in my WhatsApp. So reach out to me so I can tell you what you're getting for the price. And then you also have to understand that I don't require you to pay the whole $1,200 up front. Reach out to me. Almost every single one of my students is doing payment plan. So everyone is on a different situation. Everyone has a different financial situation. It's $1,200, but I need you to reach out to me so you know what you're getting. And I promise you, you're gonna love what you're getting. I'm gonna load you up. So if you are interested, and you've been coming for a while, Eric, so I would really love for you to join the community. And here's the thing. Maybe you're not ready for the masterclass yet, but I would still love you to join the community where we can just start you off with the course, get familiar with the course material, and then do the masterclass. So either way, I got you. I just need you to reach out to me. Let me know your goals. Let me know what you're trying to do, and then we can find something that works for you. But going into 2025, and I do want to reiterate this to you, everybody in this Zoom has made money. That's the goal. I'm going to make sure you make money within 3 months of taking the course. That's my promise to you. As long as you have the money ready, and I'm going to help you. That's what this whole 30 days is for. I'm going to help you accumulate the money. And I'm going to try to get you to make money in 3 months. So please reach out to me so we can try to get you started. Because I want to get you started as early as possible in 2025, because this year is a lot of money on the table. And I don't want you to fall behind. And that goes to anybody else that's listening that might listen to this video later on. All right, guys, I appreciate everybody. Any final questions or comments? I will be posting all this information in the masterclass for all of the subscribers. You guys are welcome to go to my social media. I'm putting it on multiple social medias, but all you got to do is type in Cheetah Investor. Go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go to LinkedIn. I know I'm missing one. YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. All of them have a Cheetah Investor. So go to Cheetah Investors on any one of those platforms, and you can get this material directly. You don't have to wait for me to post it in the master classroom, especially if you're not a student. I'm sorry, if you're not a subscriber. Go to my social media and you can get all of this material. I'm just providing the links to the subscribers to make it easier for them. But any of my students can go to my social media and get all of this content. All right, and if you need links to my social media, hit me up in the student room and I'll provide it. But anybody can get this. I want everybody to participate as much as possible in the 30-day challenge. So if you're missing something, you need help with something, just let me know. All right, guys. Beautiful, beautiful. I want to thank everybody again for their attendance, for their commitment. Stay focused, guys. I'm loving it. Make correct decisions. I'm giving you as much of my analysis as possible. My focus is a little bit split as I'm trying to kind of build all of this. I'm trying to do as much analysis as possible, but even I'm going to tell you that I'm not fully committed to the analysis. I'm giving you as much as I can, and that's the reason why I want you to take what I'm giving you and go out and do more research. Because I'll tell you right now that I'm not fully committed to the analysis that I'm presenting, but I am giving you like situations, keywords, articles, current events. I need you to deep dive because I don't have the time right now of what I'm trying to build. And then I want you to bring that information back into the student room, and then now we can dialogue. And you see me. As soon as I see you put something in the student room, that gives me time to kind of refocus. I can go find a couple of articles and post it in, and I'm a part of the dialogue. I just don't have a time to initialize it. All right. And I just realized that I didn't do the report. We're going into the beginning of the year. Well, no, I'm still not there. So I said after the 6th. I did say after the 6th. So tomorrow, I'm gonna put that report together for tomorrow. I did say after the 6th. So tomorrow you'll get the monthly report. I will be putting that together today, and I'll put that in the, what did I say? Oh, I put that in the subscriber room when I put that report together. All right, a lot of moving pieces, but I'm gonna give you guys as much as I can, so that you guys are current and ready. And like I said, that report is just to kind of encourage dialogue in the student room. All right, here's one more decision that I made. So I initially, when I removed the students from the value hunter room, I put everybody in a Cheetah trading room. So here's how this is going to work in the future. I'm going to go through sometime this week because I'm crazy busy, but I'm going to go through. I have a database of all my students. Anybody that's taken a workshop, taken a webinar, bought the course, I have an entire list. And you guys know I hate blasts. I hate email blasts and text blasts. So I'm going to take every single one of my students, and I have close to 300 of them, and I'm going to put all of them in the Cheetah trading room. I made a decision. I'm not going to put the current students in that Cheetah trading room. You guys are in the value hunter room. I'm going to leave you there. What's that's going to allow me to do if I do have a blast? I can post it in the Cheetah trading room. So I'm only talking to the non-students. They're students, but they're not current students with the new course. So that's the new decision that I'm making. I'm going to put everybody in that Cheetah trading room, all the previous students. I'm going to be, and I want you guys to dialogue in there. Anybody that's on YouTube, anybody that's not in the current Zoom, you can go to that Cheetah trading room and ask me questions as well. But just keep in mind that any question that I answer is going to be based on the roadmap information. I'm not going to share any of the information from the current course. But what have I always said? It's enough. I did not give you anything that you cannot use in that roadmap that's not going to make you successful. So you can still be successful with the roadmap course. But I now have a platform in that Cheetah trading room for the roadmap students. So if you have any questions at all, I can still dialogue and mentor you in the Cheetah trading room. And I can also give you blasts on any new information, any new courses, any new events, any new offerings. I can now put that in the Cheetah trading room. So we now basically have two student rooms. We have the Cheetah trading room and the value hunter room. All right, if you guys have any questions on this, if I confuse you, just come to me on WhatsApp. I'll answer it and clarify if I need to. But we now have two student rooms. Cheetah trading room for the non-current students, and the value hunter room for current students. All right, we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much. Please be safe in the markets. Be safe out there in the streets. Crazy times. I'm going to be here for you. I need you to be here for everyone else. Let's grow this community together. I'll see everybody. If I don't see you in the WhatsApp throughout the day, I'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. I'll see you guys on YouTube.